The second round of official talks between China and the United States has concluded. China's CPC Politburo member Yang Jiechi and State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang met with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and the other U.S. officials. This is the first high-level talks between the two sides since U.S. President Joe Biden took office in January. The third round of official talks is scheduled for Friday. Our reporter Nathan King has more.
The first two sessions of these high-level talks are over between the US and China. We have one more session to go on Friday here, local time, in Anchorage, Alaska. One source said to me that at the beginning of the session was super spicy. As you know, the Washington upped rhetoric and also policy against China in the run-up to these talks, while Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, was touring Asian allies in Tokyo and in Seoul. And they also expanded sanctions against Chinese and Hong Kong officials over the national security law using the Hong Kong Autonomy Act passed on the Trump administration by Congress. And you know, I don't quite know what the strategy was that before the meeting, but as we heard inside the meeting, there was a strong response from China, both from Yang Jiechi and Wang. They reiterated that they didn't feel that was really a good thing to do for a guest inviting another nation to do that on the eve of these high-level talks. Also reiterated that despite US positions that Hong Kong, Xinjiang issues over Taiwan remain internal sovereignty matters and red lines for essentially China's foreign policy, as they have been for a long time. I think what we really need to find out is where the US feels its red lines are in those areas. Things calmed down in the second session after the dinner break. It seemed to be more sort of granular in the discussions going forward. Remember, there are areas of potential cooperation which we've seen before over climate change, for example. The Paris Climate Accord would not have happened without the understanding on the Obama administration and Xi Jinping about capping limits and squaring the circle between the developed and the developing world when it comes to emissions and mitigation. So, you know, they can work together. We haven't talked about the DPRK, which of course is still a security concern for all of Northeast Asia and the United States as well. We haven't talked about commerce, the perhaps potential phasing out of tariffs against $350 billion worth of Chinese goods which were imposed on the Trump administration. We haven't talked about opening up cooperation when it comes to energy here in Alaska. So there are all these things that can happen. Talk about pandemic. There's even talk about a virtual meeting between President Xi Jinping and the new US President Joe Biden on Earth Day, April 22nd. The US is hosting a big climate meeting. That would be a good opportunity as well. So both sides were super spicy, as one of the sources said, but in the room when it began, but there are areas of potential cooperation.